It is the Ask the Doctor live event tonight. I hope everybody's doing great. Thanks for joining me. Let's see here. There. All right. It's Monday night. That means that it's Ask the Doctor, and I answer viewer questions. We have had an avalanche of viewer questions this week, and so I'm hoping I can get through them all in the time that I have allotted to come down here and hang out with you guys. So we have a couple different contributors tonight. First of all, I want to thank everybody who sent in comments and questions. I love being your resource for these beautiful little featherweights. Let me just make sure all my stuff is up and my cameras are up and all that on Facebook. So hang on one sec here while I refresh. Also tonight, if you're joining me from YouTube, I'm going to try and answer your questions live also. So just give me grace a little bit tonight. I've got 3 feeds I'm watching: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we're gonna try to take care of everybody. Let's see here. I've started to get some fans on, there we go, live now. Okay. YouTube, if you have a question for me, I am able to see your questions. Let's make sure Facebook is up. How's everybody doing tonight out there? All right, where am I? There I am. Okay, Bonnie is on, and Kathy, and Debbie, and Carolyn, hello. How do I get up here? Let's see, I want to... Sorry, guys. I really don't know why. Ah, there, Becky's on. Mama's on. Okay, Jennifer, Lisa. Okay, I am doing well today. I wasn't feeling well yesterday. I think I just, to be honest with you, I don't think I had enough water. I was going to bed last night and I'm like, I don't feel good. But it turned out I woke up totally fine. So, okay. I'm going to take my questions a little out of order today. Oh, everybody's on. Cindy, I tried to call you back, but you didn't call me back. Hello from Merced, California. Thanks for joining me. So my first questions come from Faye. Faye lives in Mesa, Arizona, and she was asking me about some specific feet, like vintage feet. I want to just be really transparent with you all. I am not the expert on vintage feet. I'm a quilter. I know how to use the quilting feet like really well, but when it comes to some of the vintage feet, because I'm not a sewist, I don't construct clothing. I maybe not be your expert on that, but I can try. And I have actually brought some feet out with me tonight because Faye wanted a demo and had some questions about them. So we're all going to have a good laugh if Darlene can't figure out how to use them. Lawrence is on from Ohio. I got your package off today, sir. So you should be getting a note and some resources from me in about a week. And Jeanette is on, my buddy from Sammamish. Hello. Diana, my mom says she likes my apron. Thank you. Oh, you sent me a message, Cindy. I haven't seen it yet. All right, Miss Linda from Texas. I do have Cindy 2 centennials. That's why I was trying to get a hold of you. Oh, and Faye's watching. Good, good. Faye, this one's for you. This is your first set of questions. So Faye's questions specifically were about the narrow hemmer foot and also the bias foot. So let's start with the narrow hemming foot. She wanted to know if it was better to use the vintage one. Oh, Katie, my hair is adorable. I flat ironed it for you guys. When it's curly, that's natural. This is not natural. And you're in the hospital, so you're not supposed to be on the computer, girl. Mom told on you. She told me you went to the hospital today. Okay. So the rolled hemmer, whenever I have the opportunity to work with something either old versus new, I always go for old. Not that new is so bad, but I just don't feel like things were engineered and designed in the same way. So I always go Faye if I had a choice between old and new. And I loaded this little rolled hemmer foot on. I have to admit, I'd never really put it on before. She's making some aprons, and she was wondering about finishing the edges. Dang, if this thing is not doing a really good job, Faye. So I'm going to switch to my other camera so you can see. And Deborah is on, hi Deb, from Tennessee, and Amber from Texas, and Melanie Mitchell. Oh yay, I've missed you. 3 too many hurricane evacuations. You are good medicine. Thanks, sweetheart. I appreciate that. All right. Also, if you're on Insta, I have a better camera set up for Facebook and YouTube. And so you are welcome to join me over on those two platforms. I also can, respond to you and answer questions on this platform. But if you're looking for kind of a better camera angle, I have a secondary camera set up for my Facebook and my YouTube, and it might give you a better picture of what I'm doing. So right now I'm going to go to, guys, on Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to go to my secondary camera. And you guys can see, this is the rolled hemmer. All I'm doing here is I'm kind of quarter inch. All right, so that's the demonstration of the rolled hemmer. My professional evaluation is that it did a bang up job. So Faye, if you got the older rolled hemmer, I say go for it. The other question you had, oh, sorry. Okay. The other question you had was regarding the, so this is my stitching for Instagram World. Look at how nice that did. So that's the rolled hemmer demo. The next thing was regarding the bias tape thing. And I have to admit, now this I have a little bit of experience with because I did some mask making with this. Let's see everybody. Oh, Pam's on. Hi, Pam. Deb. Oh, the scroll face is beautiful. Isn't she pretty? And hello, Linda from Tennessee. Oh, Jeanette lost audio for a second. Probably because my son was calling. To talk to him about that. Okay, so we're going to try this one next. I'm going to take off. Yeah, I'm going to switch you guys back over to this view. Okay, I'm going to take off my, this is the rolled hemmer foot Instagram, by the way. That was one I was just using. I'm going to put on the bias tape. Faye's question for this was specifically, do I need to use the pre-purchased bias binding? No, you do not, ma'am. So hold on, let me go back here to this. So this is what I use for the bias tape making. I cut my bias strips, to 2 inches, and I feed them in. And what happens is it comes out looking like this with my iron. So I literally, so easy, feed this in here, and when it, in here, and when it comes out the other way, it's all folded over, and I just put my iron right up against it, and then I fold it over one more time. Okay, so what I did on this was I used the slots. Let me put you back on my other camera there. I used the slots to feed this in, and I'm going to feed it in open. Oh, I should have practiced with this beforehand. I can already, actually, I think I'm going to load it before I put it on the machine. Okay, so this goes in like this. I think I need a pin. Hold on. Let me get a pin. Okay. I did use this during the shut-in, so I know that this does work really well. I just need to figure out how to get it started. Okay, come on. I told you this might be funny. Lord. Okay, I'm going to have to try this here in a minute. Let me get to some of these other questions. I know that there's a way to feed this in here, but it is just escaping me right this second. Oh, Melanie says, I've been making hundreds of masks and I have not made that with the attachments. I found it easier to just use my regular foot versus if you don't already have this. If you already have it, that's one thing, but if you don't, then I'm not quite sure it's worth picking up. Come on. Okay. Faye, I'm going to give this about 30 more seconds, and then if I can't get it, we're going to move on to the next question. All right, Uncle, I got too much other stuff to talk about. Answer to your question, Faye, yes, you can totally use non-machined, non-pre-made machined bias. You can make your own. You can use this tool, and it does, in fact, work with this foot, just not cooperating with me right this second, of course. All right, moving on to my next question. My buddy Lawrence in Ohio. Hi from Ontario, Canada. My buddy Lawrence, he asked about he's been watching some quilting shows, and he had heard that you should use a mineral oil or a silicone for thread breakage. So this is one of those things, Lawrence, that it's kind of a dealer's choice thing. I feel like, I know that in some cases I have been known to use this stuff, which is called Sewer's Aid. It's a silicone lubricant for putting on thread. Oops, sorry, thread. I've only used this when I'm dealing with thread that breaks a lot, just inherently, not regular cotton thread. So a metallic thread or a real fine decorative thread, I've absolutely used this. I put a few drops on the spool. It feeds onto the thread and down through the machine. It doesn't gunk up the machine. It doesn't gunk up the needle. But I've never found the need to use this on a cotton thread. If your cotton thread is breaking that much, your tensions are probably wrong or you're threaded wrong. But I don't think you should ever have to use the mineral oil or those silicone lubricant if on a regular cotton thread in a machine that is set up properly. So that's my own opinion. It may not be everybody's opinion, it's just mine. So that's Lawrence's questions on mineral oil and silicone. And then my buddy Sue Ann Ballard from YouTube, she is so fabulous for if you're on YouTube, say hi, by the way, tell me where you're from, for watching. And she had a couple questions about feed dog covers. So Sue Ann, there is an actual metal plate, looks like this, that Singer put out back in the day. It actually was sold with your buttonholer. If you have a vintage buttonholer, you should have one of these underneath. And it was specifically for covering the feed dogs on your machine. So technically speaking, you could totally use this to cover your feed dogs when you're free motion quilting or darning on your 221, because as you know, if you have a 221, your feed dogs do not drop. However, I am not a fan of any type of metal to metal contact. I feel like it is kind of begging for scratches on the bed of your machine. And so therefore I'm not a fan of any type of device or accessory that actually straps onto the bed of your machine. I've just had too many machines come through the shop with like a scratch or a worn hole around the two the two screw holes in the bed, and I think you're just kind of tempting fate to cover with a metal plate and potentially scratch up your antique machine. So what I encourage people to do is use blue painter's tape. Blue painter's tape is a non-corrosive adhesive that I use to cover my feed dogs when I'm free motion quilting. So like on my Friday sip and sews, I generally have my setup all done before then. So, oh, hey, Alice is on from YouTube from San Francisco. Thanks for joining us. Awesome. Anyway, the blue painter's tape covers the feed dogs. It doesn't leave residue. It doesn't corrode your shellac finish. This is my quilting notion that I buy in the hardware store. Generally speaking, my setup for free motion, Sue Ann, is to put my stitch regulator lever not reverse and not forward, but somewhere in the middle. I call it dead horizon. And that way the feed dogs are, when you're trying to move your fabric around in kind of a fluid movement, sometimes I feel like that just gives you an extra, thing to get over. So that's how I feel about the feed dog cover. I also did talk briefly on my Sip and Sew about some thread weights. I had a great question from Bernadette up in Bellingham. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about that, because I talked about some manufacturers, but I didn't talk about specific weights. I do when I'm piecing my quilts. And this is just my opinion again. So some other people may prefer different things when they're piecing, but for me on the featherweights, this is what I prefer. The Aurifil 50 weight cotton thread, I just adore for piecing. It has, it comes on the orange spool, and it comes in lots of different neutral colors, and it's really nice for having a good strong seam for a good inside construction of your quilt. So that's what I like to use for piecing. For quilting, this shocks some people on the Friday Night Sip, and so I actually do use 100% polyester thread for quilting. There was an old wise tale about using polyester thread on cotton quilts and how it kind of tore through the fibers of the cotton quilt, therefore puncturing holes and making things not last as long as they should. I have not found that to be true myself. I think that was probably back in the day before they really used good quality materials. The reason why I like the SoFine 50 weight polyester thread is because it's low lint, so I don't collect a lot of like dust bunnies in the bed of my sewing machine. It has kind of a nice dull sheen, so it actually looks like cotton, but it's really, really, really strong. And it holds up to, the quilts in my house get a lot of work out and a lot of use because it's cold up here in the Pacific Northwest, and so we generally have many, many, many layers of quilts on us in the winter. I also have a big dog with toenails, and he's allowed to sleep on our beds, and so I feel like the polyester definitely kind of holds up better to the way that we use the quilts here in the Pacific Northwest. So let's see. Oh, Bridget's on. Hi. Oh, good. Diana Jones said that this is what she uses on her metallic threads. When doing that practice, do you recommend, process? Yes. So Melanie was asking about my process for setting up for the free motion quilting. You really can't practice enough. You can't practice enough. In fact, whenever I change my threads and I'm about to start again, this is the little practice sandwich that I keep right by my thing. You can see there's a couple of different thread colors in there, and this is what I do before I even go to my quilt, because I don't like to pick things out of my quilt. So yes, practice, practice, practice. All right, so that's what I have to say about thread weights. Our last question from Sue Ann was regarding the oil points, and I'm not going to go over all of them because I have another video that does that, but I thought I would just mention, because I know Sharon out on Instagram was also asking about this too, about there's some spots on your machine that you should hit about every 8 hours of sewing. So I'm not going to go over them in detail, but I would like to point them out to you. So the first spot that is important for every 8 hours is your take-up lever. Let's see here. So I'm going to try to put this closer. Okay. So when I spin this, do you see that really big silver swooping arm that's going, really agitating? That is this silver arm right here is the spots that you need to hit every 8 hours of use. So there's one at the top, there's another arm here, and another arm here. And you might need to roll the hand wheel around to be able to actually see the oil holes on the top of the joints. But so this whole arm is every 8 hours of use. In the bobbin, since we're right here, this is every, oh, look how linty that is. I've been using Mary quite a bit lately. There is a drop of oil in the bobbin casing, in the bobbin assembly, and the other every 8-hour oil hole is in the belly of the machine. Oops. So do you guys see that silver shaft that runs through the middle? There's an oil hole on here and an oil hole on here every 8 hours of use. There are many more underneath here, but we are only addressing this silver shaft, which is every 8 hours of use. So those are the every 8-hour oil holes. All right, that was a lot of information. Are you guys exhausted? I apologize. I'm exhausted. Oh, Faye wants to know where the thread is available. So Faye and Mesa, I believe Quilters Oasis carries Superior thread. You can call ahead to make sure that they have the So Fine. You also probably can find it online if you can't find it at a local shop, but I would definitely support your local shops before going online. And Brenda says, thank you. I learned so much viewing from Tennessee. I'm glad you were able to join me, Brenda. All right, well, I think that is everyone and all of my questions for this week. This week with the Quilt As You Go, I'm pretty excited because it is going to be our, I'm calling it week 8.5. This is a 16-week process and we are in the middle of it. And instead of going on to week 9, oh goodness gracious, instead of going on to week 9, we are going to do what I'm calling week 8.5. 8.5, we are going to talk about the joins this week. So on the blog, I'm going to be posting some dimensions for the strips that you need to cut. And then on Wednesday night, instead of going over a new block design, we're going to be talking about how to join the Quilt As You Go, the 8.5-inch blocks. So I'm pretty excited about that. I would like to say I don't want everybody just slamming everything together after this week because I really feel like you kind of have to have most of your blocks done to make sure you have the placement the way you like it. You can see my wall behind me. You might want to move some stuff around in hindsight when everything is done. So just pump the brakes a little bit on getting all of the finishing work done. But for instance, we know that that center 4-patch is going to stay that way. So let's go ahead and just talk about doing the join there. As you start by going block to block to block to block in a row, and then you attach your rows to rows, and that's how you kind of build the quilt. So that is how you go about doing it. Melanie said, that's a lot of oil holes. Oh, and Kathy Heiss says, if you're local and you're looking for a place to buy the So Fine Superior thread, that Quilting Mayhem and Gathering Fabrics in Woodinville also does carry it. And Faye says, thank you. And Melanie says, thank you. And Missy Fisher from Redmond says, thank you. Okay, cool. I'm excited. Friday is going to be my, oh, should I let the cat out of the bag? I think I should. Where's my thingy? Hold on. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview of what we're doing on Friday night at the Sip and Sew. So as you know, I'm doing that Road to Nebula, getting ready for Tula Pink's Nebula block of the month next year, and kind of sharpening up my skills. So a few weeks ago, we did Seaside Table Runner, and it's done. Oh, where did it go? It's just waiting for its binding, but I don't see it right now. Yikes. And so I got out of order. I was supposed to do Lucky Charm next, but I didn't have my pattern yet. It's coming. Oh, I see it. I really don't have that much stuff in my studio. Goodness. So by binding already here, more true colors, but it's all trimmed up and ready to go. So this is going to get, so this was my seaside. So I decided to do rock candy next because I had the pattern, but the other ones hadn't arrived. And so this is kind of quilted. I'm finishing it up on the Featherweight. It's not done yet for Friday. And I thought I would show you guys. Look at all the quilting. I had so much fun on Saturday, just sitting down, hanging out. So yeah, this is what we're working on Friday, rock candy. I'm excited to get through some of these projects. I'm really actually having a good time just working on small things on my Featherweight and just hanging out with you guys. So, all right, well, I will let you all go. Oh, Alice says, this is great, thank you. Look forward to your oiling video too. Featherweight at least needs some oil, in love. That's awesome. All right, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Oh good, everybody liked the new setup. Fabulous, I like that. All right, we'll see you guys on Wednesday, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Like and share this video if you are having a good time, and I'll look forward to seeing you then. Bye guys.